The thug is in.
All right, moving on. We got on the bottom, we have RTM, formerly known as Poopy Gorilla, LOL, versus Glue Snorter, which is actually just Tears. So, some quick background. Tears is like a really good 1v1 player. He did really well 2 PLs ago, and he just kind of came out of nowhere and did really good in ADV. If I'm being real with you, there's big suspect that he like boosted because he had a crazy GXE out of nowhere after never playing ADV before. Um, that's probably likely, but I couldn't do anything about it. He was using this team a lot. This team was spammed on the ladder so much by other people, which is obviously because he was getting passed by some people. Scizor Swampert Raikou is a good preview, don't get me wrong, but it was being used like crazy. And then on the bottom, we have RTM, which RTM didn't really participate in any of the cycles except 3 and 4, I believe. And in cycle 4, he just kept grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding, and he just crazy grinded his way to the top during the last hours, and he made it, and he's here, and he deserves to be here. So let's see how this battle goes. Matchup wise, Cradily, Cradily has kind of fallen out of favor because Zapdos is gone, and one of Crady's big things is that it beat Zapdos. And not only that, but now that Toxic Tauros is a thing, and it beats like Recover Cradily, so when it doesn't have Rest, Cradily is also kind of down because a cool thing was that it beat Tauros. Like, it could beat Tauros, Zapdos, and all that stuff. But it still has some merit. Like, it's still a mixed staller. And you can even throw in some mix-ups like Giga Drain to beat, like, a physical Swampert. Because usually it doesn't run Giga Drain. It just goes, like, Amnesia, Iron Defense... Amnesia, Barrier, Recover, and then Hidden Power, Rocker, Rock Slide. So, yeah. And here, it does beat the Swampert pretty handedly. But what we'll see here, a prediction, is that, like, this is a really hard pick for Tears because, like, the Cradily... I think what was interesting here is I think Tears thought that the Cradily beat the Swampert, because we'll see the picks here. It's actually going to be Marowak into Scizor. I think Tears thought that the Cradily Swampert, and maybe it did, I might be wrong, but, like, most Swamperts should actually beat Cradily unless they're banned. And I feel like I don't know. Again, it's interesting because like the Swampert could be banned. It could be like a mix pert. It could be Curse Rest. It could be like Sub Bataya. And there's like different interactions with Cradily. And Scizor just always destroys Cradily. And then Raikou is like a weird matchup versus Cradily. Pressure Stall should lose Cradily. But like Calm Mind can just crit Cradily. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup. But either way, I think RTM makes a great pick here, and he goes Marowak knowing that it usually beats Scizor. It outpaces, it can Swords Dance, Scizor Swords Dance, but it just drops to a Bone Ring. And what Marowak also did is it covered Raikou, which might have been picked into the Arcanine into the Scizor. And it also, Marowak can beat Hurts that lack Surf, because like Marowak can usually take Earthquakes, and it can actually just KO with Bone Ring because it's that strong after Thick Club. I mean, it's literally choice banded, and then you can get a +2 attack and Bone Ring, and like Marowak just hits so hard. It can usually beat Swampert if it's lacking Surf or Ice. And I think RTM was like, you know what? I think Tears is going to be scared of the Cradily. I'm going to pick this into the most likely Cradily answers, assuming that Tears didn't know that Swampert can usually beat Cradily. So yeah, interesting pick, and RTM is up 1-0. Now, this team is RTM is a SMB team, I believe, or like Frog Facts or something like that. It's a sample that they want to go through, which it's a really solid team, honestly. Arcanine, Starmie, Ursaring, just a solid team, and RTM was using it a lot on the ladder. Tears isn't paying attention to the tournament. He literally didn't even play a game pretty much after Cycle 2, because I don't think he cared that much. And so he's not going to know what the fuck this team is. Probably. And you might be wondering, I mean, probably not wondering, but I was wondering, what is the Starmie answer for RTM? Like, is it just Starmie answer Starmie? And it's actually like this bulky Ursaring that I don't think is banned, but should kill it with Silk Scarf Return turn 1, I think. I don't know. Either way, this is kind of just like a 50-50. Either you go like Blissey into like Arcanine Starmie, or you then go Metagross into the Ursaring. Because while Sceptile does beat the Ursaring and the Starmie, I guess you could kind of go could kind of go like Sceptile into Starmie and Ursaring, but I just don't really think the Starmie needs to come out when Arcanine is really good into Sceptile and Metagross, and Starmie is only good into like maybe Metagross. So as we can see here, I think this is a fine pick from Tears going Metagross hard into the Ursaring. What's funny here is that if this Ursaring was counter, it actually lived and could have clicked counter, but it turns out to be that SD Silk Scarf set, which is a set that's like really anti-Registeel and can do some other cute things. Like with Guts, it just like destroys. With Guts, it destroys Toxic Tauros, which is kind of interesting. Not well, actually, Ursaring already beats Toxic Tauros. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but like, at least it should. But unless Tauros can just like return protect, like return protect, can it like return protect, return? I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe it can. I don't know. I'm talking about ADV a fuck ton of time. Holy shit. Either way, it's 1-1. Now, you might see something crazy on your screen. It is a Steelix. A Steelix. Steelix is something that I once experimented with on stream, actually. And I liked it during the Zapdos meta. Again, these feel like these weird Zapdos concepts. I don't know. But the idea was that like you can beat Zapdos, but hilariously only with Band. You might be thinking about Torment Licks, but like Zapdos can literally just like Metal Sound on you, Hidden Power Ice you twice, which is hilarious actually. So I was using Band Steelix sometimes, and what I think Steelix is really bad. I definitely don't think it should be ranked. I feel like it tries to be Marowak and Metagross at the same time, and it just fails at doing both terribly. Like for example, like it kind of like Marowak, except you can get some Steel Stab. So like you're kind of like you're more solid against random things like Gengar, because you can like hit it really hard and you like eat Fire Punch, hoping that it's not Whispgar. Steelix is also should be more solid versus Regice, like a Metagross would be over Marowak. But then again, you're just like, Steelix just struggles, man. Like try to use it, I promise you, it just struggles. It's slow, it's not powerful enough, not specially bulky enough. Yeah, but either way, here we do see it, and you know what? That's a nice matchup here because you can like, well, hilariously, the only way that you beat Metagross is if you're like a Torment Earthquake set and you hope that it's banned, which most Metagross are. Regice you should handle, and it could handle the Gyarados. What I'm wondering in general, though, is what in the world is Tears' Gyarados answer? Zard never beats it. I mean, unless you're like HP Electric twice, maybe. I was thinking it could be Thunder Punch Alakazam, which makes sense for like Starmie, solidness, because like Starmie just obliterates Zard Steelix. And that's what I thought it was. And if I was RTM, I don't know if I would have predicted that, and I would have gone like Metagross instead. Like, that would have been a hard click to make, honestly. But either way, we see it here. Tears just hopes that RTM doesn't go Gyarados, and let's see this interesting matchup. This is really interesting. I have to ask them more about this Steelix set because it torments, right? But that's obviously not band damage. It taunts on the taunt, which is weird because taunt lasts 2 turns, but for Steelix it basically only lasts 1 because it's always slower. And it turns out to probably be only EQ Steelix because it shows Protect, and yep, it's just EQ Steelix. I don't really understand what taunt does when you're that slow. But you can see here, yep, just DD, and it's over. No way this Steelix wins. Tries to double protect, Earthquake's gonna kill it. I guess it actually just taunts, which is fine. And then you can just Earthquake. Steelix is able to Earthquake again. Shakes off the taunt, but you literally like, yep, Hidden Power Flying. It was the DD anti-Registeel one, which makes sense because Metagross loses the counter. And Gyarados wins. It looked like a Gyarados 3-0. I mean, again, interesting team from Tears, whoever made it. Probably Dom or someone that was passing him because, like, yeah, right, like Tears is building ADV shit. But if he is, interesting set, but it just did not win. Game 4. Moltres, Raikou, Metagross. This is reminiscent of the old Crucify sample of Zard. It was Zard, Raikou, Metagross, and I actually have ran this team before with Moltres because people started to use a Spadef banned Swampert that ate the Pataya HP grass from Zard, but what Swampert struggles to eat is a Moltres Hidden Power grass because Moltres is that much more powerful. And Moltres still does what like you want it to do, like Zard. Like it's gonna beat Metagross. It's gonna beat like Heracross matchup. It's gonna beat Marowak with Subpataya. So solid all around team from RTM. I like it. I like it a lot. Good mix up potential as well. Then on Blue Snorter's side or Tears' side, you got a cool Firewater Grass. And one thing that I always say about Firewater Grass that's interesting is that you can't just spam Firewater Grass like you can in like later generations of water of a 1v1 because all of these types are special. So you always need a way to beat Blissey. And what that usually entails is like Blaziken from the fire type, maybe a Belly Drum Zard. On the grass end, it could be like a surprise Swords Dance Sceptile, Swords Dance Celebi, hell, maybe even a fucking Breloom or some shit. And then on the water side, you have options like Gyarados sometimes if it's not T-Bolt, Swampert, like Cursepert, hell, random things like Poliwrath, DD, Kingdra, stuff like that. So you're always kind of thinking about what is the Blissey answer here, but here it's obvious it's going to be probably a Swampert of some sort. And the answer for Swampert here is going to be RTM's Moltres, and so I think he makes the fine play and is like, all right, I'm trying to beat the Swamp. However, we see something really interesting here. It's Indoor. You would think, okay, is it Salac for something? No, it's Indoor Pataya. And it surprisingly doesn't kill the Swampert. I don't know if this was like not 252 plus Moltres, because it should roll most Swamperts. It should roll most Swamperts. Like high roll. I think it might have been Timid, because he's scared of like max speed Heracross. But interesting thing there is, again, you might think, why is he Indoor over Sub? And my philosophy on why he's Indoor over Sub is that he wanted a way to beat Banned Tauros clicking Hyper Beam turn 1. And because Tauros is faster, it's usually just going to kill Moltres. And so I kind of like the idea of Indoor, because what Indoor still also does is it handles like Ursaring clicking Hyper Beam turn 1 or return or whatever. And it also does things like, Marowak's going to click Rock Slide turn 1. You can Endure into Pataya. And even there, I mean, it endured on the HP Rock, but this time it just wasn't strong enough to kill the Swampert. And we are off to Game 5 of Tears vs. RTM. And it got an interesting as fuck preview. I believe this is literally the first Registeel. Am I correct in that? Somehow this is literally the first Registeel. I think Registeel is still a good Pokemon. Like you might struggle versus shit like Calm Mind, Rest Raikou, which is becoming common, but Registeel still does Registeel things, and it's very anti-BS. Like here, it's gonna destroy most Ursas. Mence is, I guess, a problem because it can be mixed Mence or banned Mence, and you kind of got to predict. But I still like it here. But Tears has a really nice Mon into it, which is the very rare Dusclops. However, what I'm also wondering is, again, people are using Ursaring as their Kingdra answer, which is surprising to me. Yeah. I don't know. At this point, Calm Mind Rest Raikou is big, so you gotta wonder what is the Raikou answer from Tears. Is it a surprise DD Hyper Beam Kingdra, which is a set? Or is it like a banned Celebi? Is it like a Calm Mind Celebi that just hopes to not get crit by Thunderbolt and like maybe subs up? Like Calm Mind Recover Celebi is fine into Raikou, honestly, because like HP Ice isn't that common. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know why Tears didn't go Kingdra, but it must have been a physical Kingdra, and that's what RTM was hoping for. And his Mence must have been like banned into like a counter Registeel. So we'll see what happens here. I'm just gonna play. We got Dusclops into the Celebi. An interesting matchup. So we got Leech turn 1, so it's a Leech Celebi, nothing banned, nothing like that. Gonna try to Giga Drain. Doesn't seem to be Calm Mind, as Dusclops just keeps Calm Minding up. Should handle Calm Mind Celebi usually. Gonna fire off an Ice Beam. Does a good chunk. Not a lot though, because Dusclops is not powerful. And Celebi tries to call a rest here, and it's Swords Dance Celebi. This must have been the Blissey answer, and maybe the Raikou answer, because it's probably Hidden Power Ground. And Tears wins it in a really cool last game. Let's replay that really quick. Dusclops, Celebi, again, Leech Seed, Calm Mind. So why didn't this Swords Dance earlier? I'm not really sure. I don't know if he didn't want to bait it out earlier, but I think Swords Dancing earlier was definitely the play. I don't know why you Giga Drain 3 times, unless you're just doing your best to make it rest. But yeah, it was too late. I mean, like, you can Swords Dance here. But this thing's just gonna keep clicking Ice Beam. It's not afraid of Giga Drain. Like, why should it be afraid of Giga Drain right now when it's this bulky? And it didn't kill. Dusclops wins. Interesting. Dusclops usually should win versus Celebi either way. I would think. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff. When we see the cool Dusclops win. And Tears is knocked out, and RTM moves on in a best of 5. Next up, we got Dead. Dead Gamerman, Dead Server, Dead Mans. That's what we call him. He was not a surprise contender, but I think people sleep on Dead in general. He's like a newish 1v1er, but he got really into ADV. And I always thought he was really good at ADV. He would always talk to me about ideas, and he was one of the ones that was like really into this tournament. Qualified during cycle 2, but he was participating in later cycles and having fun on the ladder. He's like creative, but he also uses really solid stuff. He has like some pretty strong opinions about like thinking Heracross is stupid good, Vaporeon is stupid good, as you can see here. And this is a solid team. This is a solid preview. Then you got Smbz. Smbz, fellow 1v1 YouTuber, known for like being surprisingly good at laddering for using a bunch of whack shit like Hitmontop. First time Hitmontop has ever been used in a high level ADV game. And I'm going to be real with you, I think it's really bad. I think this is SMB's biggest downfall, is that he tries to get way too quirky with the Pokemon he uses, and he puts himself in awkward positions where it's really tough for him to win. For you guys that might be wondering, I think Hitmontop is either an SMBZ idea or an Elo Bandit idea, and it's this Endeavor set where you like live a hit, you Endeavor, and then you click Mach Punch or Quick Attack or something like that. It also does get Counter, and yes, it does get Intimidate, but usually, like, other fighting types just do its job better, in my opinion. Like, literally, Heracross, Medicham, and Machamp. And even Hariyama, even, like, Blaziken. Primeape, lol. Primetime, baby. Woo! Anyway, but, yeah, I don't know. I just think this is a miss, and, like, it does nothing here. Like, I mean, like, it should maybe beat the Heracross with Hidden Power Flying, but as you can see, Dead caused that. Ultras into the Heracross, into the Hitmontop, and Vaporeon takes the win. I think this might have been Mystic Water here, I think, because Surf actually might not kill right away, and that crit could have been terrible. If this was like a defensive Vaporeon, I'm pretty sure Surf doesn't kill Moltres. So kind of cool that Dead brought Mystic Water Vaporeon there, but just a solid, simple pick, and Vaporeon was going to beat Hitmontop. Again, if you think about it, if Smbz had a Heracross there, this game would be very different because it would have pressured out the Vaporeon harder. Would have forced maybe something like a Marowak to come in with Aerial Ace, or a Posing Heracross to come in. But either way, we're off the game too. And yet again, Smbz bringing an ADV first Gardevoir. I saw some people trying to use an Imprison set on ladder, and like the premise behind Gardevoir, I guess, is that it's like a little bit of a bulkier Zam. But the thing that I really just don't like about it is that like it's slower, it doesn't get Encore, it's actually weaker. I just don't think it's very good. Like, Trace is interesting, but like Alakazam already beats Water Absorb Vaporeon. Like, Sam can just Ice Punch a Flygon if you're trying to Trace Levitate. The only merit that it maybe has is that like Alakazam loses the Jolteon, and Gardevoir should dumpster Jolteon, I guess, is an interesting thing. But you have a Heracross on that team. And I don't know, and especially with Rest Raikou running around, which already kind of dumpsters Jolteon, I just don't think Gardevoir is a very good pick, but either way, it's here. And it might have a good matchup. It really might have a good matchup. It should beat Regice, with maybe it has Taunt or Wisp, or like it can just Calm Mind up on Regice. But also Aerodactyl is a really good Pokemon here, because on Dead's team, this is likely, because Sceptile and Gyarados just get dumpstered by Aerodactyl unless you're like my crazy like Icy Wind Hydro Pump set, which is literally just like hope to not get flinched, hope to not get crit turn 1, you hope to hit Icy Wind, which is 95% accurate, and then you also hope to hit Hydro Pump, which is a crazy Gyarados set. Would not recommend using, but it's actually kind of hot here because also should Heracross. But either way, and Regice, a lot of Regice bulk for banned Rock Slide, but you can just get flinched. Yeah, I don't know, but, and if I was Smbz, you're either clicking Arrow to hard call out the other two, like to hard call out Gyarados into the Heracross, while maybe like flinching the Regice, or if you really think Regice is coming out, you go Heracross. But Smbz makes an interesting click here and goes Gardevoir, and like in this situation, I'm actually fine with Gardevoir, and I'll show you why. Let's watch what happens, though. First, it's a Calm Mind Gardevoir. I have no clue why Dead is Icy Winding when it traced Clear Body. Like, it literally makes no sense, and he does it again. Dead, please leave a comment on why the fuck you're Icy Winding. Unless you're, like, scared of, like, Imprison Ice Beam, but Gardevoir doesn't learn Ice Beam. It's Ice Punch. And he Psychics, and it's over. On really unfortunate crit, Smbz definitely should have won that because it didn't look like the Regice had amnesia or anything like that. So again, unfortunate crit, but you know, sometimes that happens when you're sitting in front of it and you're calm minding and ADV crit mechanics. But what I like is actually, if this Gardevoir was Thunderbolt, that actually makes sense because what this does is it kind of calls the Regice into the Aerodactyl pick, so bulking the Rock Slide, and if it's Thunderbolt, it calls the Gyarados into the Heracross. However, problem is that if it's sub-flail, it literally just kills the Gardevoir. I think. So, I don't know. And you might be thinking Trace Intimidate, but for the people that know, if you Trace Intimidate, it doesn't actually work right away because the Intimidate check happens before the Pokemon, whatever. Like, it just doesn't lower the attack. But either way, yeah, unfortunate crit right there. And yeah, unfortunate. But either way, things happen. We're off to game 3. Dead server, Dead, bring in just a nice Bliss Gyaracore. Gyarados is nice to like handle physical attackers like, you know, fighting types often. It can beat Marowak if it runs a mixed set with Surf. And here Smbz is rocking a Gengar, which you've seen before, but it's kind of rare these days. But it makes sense here for the Marowak matchup. Even though Machamp is okay versus Marowak, Gengar can do something. I don't know if I actually like Gengar here now that I think about it. But yeah, either way, you also got to think about what is the Machamp answer from Dead. It's Gyarados. Metagross should handle a lot of Gyaradoses with Rock Slide or even Sludge Bomb. And obviously, if the Gengar is Thunderbolt, it can drop Gyarados, especially with T-Bolt. Gengar should die to Machamp if it's not carrying Hidden Power. If it's carrying Hidden Power Ghost, Gengar just gets dumpstered. I think Smbz's Machamp answer was like, maybe Psych, maybe just hope it's not bulky counter and click Metagross. But either way, let's see what happens here. It was Gyarados hard into the Machamp. So Machamp was definitely into the Blissey and Gengar. And crit. But it turns out it didn't really matter because Dead showed that this was a mixed band Gyarados. Mixed band Gyarados, which is kind of cool. With Thunderbolt for opposing Gyarados, which makes a lot of sense. You can see that. So those are some just cool new ideas. Like this Blissey likely wasn't Thunderbolt. Blissey Machamp, what do you need to beat Gyarados? Just throw a T-Bolt Gyara on and that's cool. That's cool. Gyarados has those options. Yeah, I'm not sure if Machamp, if like a max defense counter set could have won, but yeah. The other thing too that I'll just say in general is that we're seeing a surprising amount of Machamp. I was expecting a lot more Heracross than Machamp, but we've been seeing a lot of Machamp, but it makes sense because Encore is a great move. But either way, an unfortunate and somewhat hacksy game 2 for a 3-0, but we move on. Dead moves on, and Smbz is out. SMB, by the way, I forgot to say, is he's a good ADV player. Like, he's a good ADV player. Like, he cares about the metagame a lot, and he makes a lot of content. So you should check him out. Either way, let's move on. We got on the top, Clef Hater. Under the alt, Chodeman. Under the bottom, Nick C. Clef Hater did stupid well during the laddering portion. He had the highest elo out of anybody, and like is a good ladderer, really, really good ladderer, and really, really thrived during the week 1 Zapdos meta. And still think Zapdos should be allowed. Most people disagree with him, but either way, Clef Hater is still a really good 1v1er in my opinion. And yeah, then you got Nick on the bottom. Nick is also a great 1v1er. Kind of snuck in at the end of cycle 2, which was a dead cycle. But yeah, I don't know if he's building his own stuff or if he's getting teams. I think both of them are building. So yeah, let's see what happens. Either way, Scizor, Starmie Machamp. What was I gonna say about this matchup? Oh, the Heracross answer from Clef Hater, which is the top Chodeman. Really interesting. Is it gonna be like a hidden power flying Machamp? Is it gonna be like a sub-Batias Psychic Starmie? Is it gonna be a banded Aerial Ace Scizor? Banded Scizor slept on, by the way. It beats Marowak because nobody expects you to get 2-hit KO'd by Scizor. I love it. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I kind of forgot what happens here. Oh yeah, Swampert into Machamp. It's a fast Surf Swampert. Faster than a Machamp. He's expecting a physical Pert, but it turns out to be that banned mixed Pert, and I don't know why Clefaihater really bulked up again. Clefaihater said a misclick. I don't think it really mattered though, because +1 cross chop usually shouldn't kill Swampert, but you give yourself a chance to get that cross chop crit, which is oh so juicy. But yeah, just a solid click into like I think what Nick was thinking here is like what is the answer to Heracross? Well, I'm gonna go what beats Machamp, I think, which is Swampert most likely with like likely banned Surf. But yeah, I know it was a solid pick. All right, we gotta refresh this. Damn, I'm almost an hour in. I might split this into two. How do I find this? Boop, boop. All right. Anyway, we got game 2. I was expecting Clefaihater to bring Swampert Bliss more. Clefaihater was known for spamming Swampert Blissey Zapdos on the ladder, and like Swampert Blissey is a great core. I mean, like I built a lot of Swampert Blissey stuff. I think it's really solid. Like Fizz Def, like full Fizz Def Swampert I like, plus the Blissey. It's like just a nice like cover both ends of the attacking spectrum. Then Moltres makes a lot of sense to be more solid versus Marowak and Heracross instead of Zapdos. And I think Clefaihater liked to use ban Zapdos a lot to also hit Sceptile and make Sceptile a 2-1 instead of a 1-2. And then on the bottom, we have another Walrein Ments core. Starting to see that a lot. Walrein Metagross. Yeah, I mean, the pick here, like, you know, what's interesting is that nowadays, like, you can run a bulky Salamence that eats Blissey Ice Beam, and you can, like, Brick Break it twice, which is funny. You don't want to ever counter turn 1 as Blissey, because if Salamence just DDs or subs, then you're done and you look stupid. The Swampert answer here is also really interesting from Nick on the bottom, because it's like, you know, is the Swampert answer, like, it's definitely not, well, it could be Ments with Hidden Power Grass for sure. It could, if it's also maybe just a D-Claw Ments, it can handle, like, a full Fizz Def Pert. Walrein versus Swampert is, like, really weird. It's like, it's really, really weird, but Walrein should maybe usually win. This could also definitely be, like, a weird mixed Metagross. And I think that, yeah, I think that Nick was hesitant to pick Swampert here. I think that there was just something that was going to lure Swampert. Or, like, Clefaihater on top. And so what I think Clefaihater did was smart. He went Blissey into, like, whatever was the Metagross was the Swampert answer, which was likely either Ments or Walrein. And it beats both. But you can see there, Ice Beam does nothing. That's a very bulky, for some reason, not Pataya Ments. So I don't know if it was, like, a mixed band set. Like, one interesting set I've ran is like a set that I was like, damn, I want Swampert to, I want my Ments to be better versus Pert, but I still want to have that Hidden Power Flying. So what I actually did instead is I ran Hidden Power Grass plus Fly, which is kind of insane. But yeah, Clefaihater makes just a nice play, calls whatever is trying to beat the Swampert, and goes Blissey, which is just a good Pokemon. The Metagross did not come out. Swampert and Moltres was too scary. And here we are, it's 1-1. Now we got Kecleon Gengar. This is a core that I ran like 2 years ago, maybe, when I thought that Kecleon was good. Kecleon has sadly mega fallen off. Even though Zapdos is gone, like Kecleon just struggles. Like when special Pokemon started running Sub-Pataya, like Zard, Typhlosion, Blastoise, Kingdra, Kecleon just dies to that shit. Kecleon might have a play soon. Like it might have a play soon, honestly, and I like the idea of counter on Kecleon turn 1 is cute. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the look of Nick's team here. It looks really flimsy, like really, really flimsy. But either, like, you know, Scissor answer, but either way, you got Fire Punch Gar, which that's another thing with Gengar is that it's nicer versus Scissor than Alakazam. They have to run Fire Punch. Either way, though, whew, my bad. So yeah, as for the pick here, you also gotta think. And I don't know why Cleffa didn't really think about this, but you also got to think, what is the Swampert answer here? Very, very, very likely Giga Drain or Hidden Power Grass Gengar here. And Gengar was a nasty pick here because, like, you know, Gengar should beat Scizor with Fire Punch. It should beat Swampert with Giga Drain. And Clefaihater would have had to make an insane kind of play and try to pick, like, Gengar into opposing Gengar, which would have been crazy. Something that I probably would have tried to do. But let's just see what happens here, and you'll see It is just the good old Giga Drain Gengar. Swampert should beat Swampert, and Swampert should definitely beat Aerodactyl and Kecleon, and it reveals to be that Spadef band set, probably with Hidden Power Rock, because that did nothing. And Nick gets that win, and he's up 2-1. Now we see a crazy team from Nick with Milotic. Again, I'm just going to say it. Really not a fan of Milotic. I think Vaporeon does almost everything better. The only thing that Milotic really has that with Marvel Scale Rest Sleep Talk, it can kind of be like a safer on versus physical threats. And it also has Mirror Coat, which is always a threat. So you can like force things like Ludicolo to think twice about clicking Giga Drain, and you can Toxic it. You can make things like Regice think twice about clicking Thunderbolt, Starmie, but then Starmie just subs. So like to really outplay a Starmie, you would have to have a crazy set like Hidden Power Electric or Hidden Power Grass plus a Mirror Coat and like try to outplay that sub, which is just so much work for a Milotic. But other than that, I mean, Milotic is still a bulky water. It still has instant recovery. It still does Milotic things. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, here we can see like what is Nick's Ursaring answer. When you have D-Knight over Ments, you don't have Intimidate on Ursaring. Milotic can't boost its defense like Vaporeon can, and we'll just see something simple here, like use Vaporeon. You're just gonna lose to Ursaring. Check this out. Even though you're faster and you surf, doesn't do far near enough. Return does a fuck ton because it's Ursaring. Surf again. There you go. I mean, like maybe if you were something like Pataya, but just not gonna work, and it loses, which it should. Simple pick from Clef. No need to overthink anything. I think Ursaring was just the clear pick there, and it lost. I'd like to see the mindset from bringing that team because it just really put you in a weird spot. But anyway, off to Game 5, we got some cool previews. If you've noticed, we haven't seen how much Tyranitar have we seen? Just the first T-Tar that we saw of round 1. I think it is. I think I'm right. Right? Yeah, I'm deadass pretty sure that is. That's crazy that that's the first one. But here's T-Tar finally. The reason that T-Tar has fallen off a little bit is Zapdos is gone, so like T-Tar doesn't have a thing to beat, I guess. And also it's just like, I don't know, it's just the meta's kind of weirdly not favorable to T-Tar right now. I don't really know why, but I still like it, and I still think it has a stupid amount of versatility potential. But either way, very interesting previews here. I mean, Swampert, Jirachi, T-Tar, so many different ways that these Pokemon can run sets. Love this preview. And we got the double Regis and the Ments. That team just looks so sick on preview. Like the colors match. Got the Regis as like the Ments' bodyguards. Cool shit. Problem is a Swampert answer. The Swampert answer here is either Mix Ments, or it is like maybe like an ID Ments, or it's HPI's Regice. And I think both players know this, and this is really either like, all right, am I gonna go like band Ments or Regirock into the T-Tar? Or am I gonna use the reason that I have the Regice on my team, which is to beat Swampert? Might handle Jirachi if it's Amnesia Rest Seismic Toss. But Jirachi can be Rest too. And it's just a simple 50-50 here. And they don't actually think for that long. You can't see the timer, but it's Regice into the T-Tar. Interesting thing that happens here. I don't think that's banned T-Tar. Because that would have done way more. And that's funny is that if Regice clicked counter turn 1, that could have won if it was counter Regice. Which I just think is a super funny dynamic, like counter Regice literally won there. And then one thing I just want to point out is that I don't know why you pick Hidden Power Grass here. Hidden Power Grass is an objective misplay because crit shouldn't ever kill Tyranitar, and you should just go for the Ice Beam Freeze instead. At least for me, in my opinion. I mean, it's just facts. You should have gone for the... Assuming this had Ice Beam, please to God, I have ran Ice Beamless Regice once. I do not recommend it. It was literally like Amnesia Rest, Seismic Toss, and then counter. Don't run that. But either way, Clef Hater surprisingly loses this game. Nick moves on. Last set. So the reason that I'm skipping me versus Leru is that I'm going to probably cover that in a separate video on like my own ADV prep and like how I prep for ADV. So the last one of the series, we got Birds versus Gurgle. Gurgle, one of the best ADVers. He's on ADV Council. He did well in Duo Swiss and in Cups. And he's just a good ADVer. He cares about the metagame a lot. He's helped progress it. Then you got Birds, the most controversial figure. I'll talk about this a lot more in a podcast that I'll be releasing soon, but long story short, he kind of came out of nowhere, saw that there was money in the tournament, and started to ladder, used the same team over and over and over again, and somehow, some way qualified in cycle 4. Got really, really high early in the week. Expected boosting probably, but again, it's no proof or anything like that, I guess. And yeah, he made it. He made it, and he's not bad at one. He's not bad at ADV. I mean, like he knows what he's doing a bit. He laddered a lot. He played a fuck ton of games, and he's here and he's playing Gurgle, a really important round 1 matchup. Either way, Gurgle's team is exactly the same as Ecstatics. I don't think they really talk to each other, so I think that was just coincidence. But what was also interesting about this is that Gurgle qualified during the Zapdos meta, which was very, very different, and he was totally unseen on the ladder the next 3 weeks. So it was interesting to see like how was Gurgle going to adapt to the post Zapdos meta when he wasn't really a part of it that much. And here we go. So Vaporeon, Hariyama, Raikou. Raikou answer banned Hariyama probably, or like some sort of really anti-Raikou. Yeah. If you hear like, yeah, Jirachi looks stupid good. Either go Armaldo hard into the Raikou, or you go Jirachi into the other two most likely. And I think Gurgle called it nicely. He went this. Now, Birds is named Band. I think this is him just trying to mix him up and be like quirky and be like, haha, and bulk up instead. Either way, it doesn't matter. Hits the cross chop. Could have crit, but thankfully Gurgle is Psychic, which gives Birds no chance. And Gurgle is up 1-0. Game 2. We got an interesting team from Birds here with, again, a Dusclops. Looking at this team, my first impression, which is crazy that I could have got this wrong, is that Moltres and Gyarados pretty much hard lose to Raikou. I mean, like, there's no way they beat Raikou. You would have to be, like... I don't even know how Moltres would beat Raikou. I really don't know how Moltres would beat Raikou. You'd have to be something like... I don't know. Maybe that's something to come up with another day, but... This is like... And because Dusclops, even with Calm Mind, you usually lose to Raikou, because even though you can match with the Calm Mind, Thunderbolt does too much. You can imprison Calm Mind, I guess. But even when you imprison Calm Mind, the reality is that often, like, Raikou Calm Mind's turn 1, you imprison, but the problem is that Raikou then still hits too hard with its following T-Bolts, and you actually lose, unless you're, like, full Spadef. But then when you're full Spadef, you don't do the physical things that Dusclops wants. Oh, the downfall of Dusclops. Either way, I think this is banned Clops, and I also think this is banned Clops, because I think it has Focus Punch for Dragon Dance Tyranitar, and maybe counter for a banned Tar, because Gyarados and Moltres are really weak to Tar. And I also think it's banned because it just helps with, like, Blissey a lot more and, like, other shit. I don't know. Then on Gurgle's side, you got just a nice core. I mean, like, Starmie and Metagross is a really solid core, because Starmie handles, like, fires and grounds like Marowak. And even something, if it's Subpataya, can handle, like, Heracross with Psychic. And then Marowak is to cover up the awkward opposing Metagross matchup and Raikou. So, I really think that because of those things, I really thought that, like... So, also, Dusclops banned. Dusclops is nice versus Starmie, I guess. I mean, Calm Mind should also beat Starmie, but this looked like a really nice Dusclops game, and indeed, it was. But it's in Prison. Swords Dance, Marowak. Gurgle basically caused the Clops coming out. I think that he clicked Swords Dance thinking that it might have countered, but either way, it doesn't really matter. Dusclops is not Ice Beam. Can't handle the Marowak. If Dusclops was Ice Beam, he could have Ice Beamed that turn and then Ice Beamed again, and Marowak should have died, which is crazy. But either way, doesn't matter. He didn't have it. He only had Imprison, Will-O-Wisp, Calm Mind, Rest, I think, which is kind of a yikes set, but Gurgle is looking strong here, and he's up 2-0. Game 3, we see Machamp, Scizor, Starmie. Notice, where was the Machamp, Scizor, Starmie? So Clef was supposedly helping build for Birds, which I can confirm a little bit, and this is a Clef team, on Gurgle's team. And nothing much else to say here, honestly, except that this is just a simple, like, matchup of, like, alright, am I gonna go, like, Starmie hard into the Gyarados, and maybe beating the Heracross? Or am I gonna go Machamp hard into the Regice, which handles Starmie? Yeah, I mean, cool blue team from Gurgle. Blue offense and ADVOU with Regice over Snorlax? Question mark. That'd be kind of interesting. Probably terrible, but kind of interesting. Would it actually? You just replace Lax with Regice? That'd be kind of interesting. Huh. Really thinking about that now. Either way, yeah. Let's see what happens. Tired. Let's see what happens. The champ. The Regice. Bucks up. Turn 1. Icy Wind. Yeah, this is Machamp hard into the Regice. What's funny is that, again, Birds hits the cross chop. Again, not really that lucky hitting the cross chop, but he hard called out the Regice and he deserved that win. Game 4, Gurgle bringing the team that he won with Game 1, and Birds just bringing Moltres again, another solid-looking team. Questionable thing here is that, like, I think Birds just hard loses to Vaporeon. I guess, I don't know, did Gurgle actually bring a Vaporeon earlier? No, he didn't. Maybe calling the fact that Gurgle doesn't like Vaporeon. I don't know if he had some prep insight on that. I doubt it, because, again, Birds is just using past teams from Clef Hater, which is fraudulent. But anyway, Vaporeon matchup is yikes, but luckily there's no Vaporeon. There's a Ludicolo instead, which Metagross and Ments can both beat, especially Ments. I forgot what happened here. What happened here? Well, the thing here is that Gurgle's Ments answer is obviously Rachi, and Gurgle goes Rachi into the Ments. And Birds hard calls that out with the Moltres. However, maybe not so hard calls it out because it's a Sunny Day Moltres, which maybe is a presumable, like, Vaporeon lure of some sort, maybe? I was thinking about this after I saw this. Maybe you can, like, go Sunny Day and Hidden Power Grass twice or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting concept. But here, Moltres is also faster than the Jirachi, which is, I guess, notable. Like, Jirachi usually wants to run bulk and doesn't have a lot of speed. And unfortunately, because of that, it can't sub up quicker on Overheat, which would have been a knockout set. I mean, like, if you subbed turn 1 and you could, like, get out of that, then that would be sick. And even with that crit, but Moltres is faster, and it still kills because of Sun, which is really interesting. I mean, like, if that wasn't Sun, and that was just Pataya, well, it actually wouldn't have lost because you just took the Overheat. Either way, Birds calls out the Jirachi, and maybe in a way kind of like... I mean, Armaldo was never coming out. Well, it could have, I guess. It could have. That would be a stupid pick, though. Either way, this is on to Game 5. The last set, the last game of Round 1. Birds bringing the same team from before, confident with the team. Gurgle bringing a classic preview. This preview is literally, like, I think 4 years old, which is crazy to think about, before my time. A classic set of great Pokemon. It's a great team. And you can see here, again, this is either like, alright, I mean, if you think about it, like, this is yet again, do I go hard Regice into the Starmie? Maybe I go Heracross into the Starmie, thinking it's not Psychic. But it probably is because you want it to beat Heracross. And because of that, I think Birds might have been trying to read that, right? And was like, alright. I think Birds was trying to read that and was like, alright, if Gurgle goes Regice into the Starmie, I want to pick my Machamp. Because Machamp can potentially beat the Marowak. It should usually beat Marowak. It has an okay matchup versus Heracross if it's HP flying. I doubt it is the Dusclops matchup here. But yeah, either way, let's see what happens. This is Game 5. Can Birds pull off the reverse sweep? We see Marowak into the Machamp. And Gurgle clicks Bone Ring turn 1. And Birds clicks Cross Chop. Now, this was insanely lucky. Gurgle literally had the play. He clicked the Marowak into the Machamp. And this is doubly bad. This is doubly good. Like, this is doubly crazy for 2 reasons. For one, usually with Machamp versus Marowak as Machamp, like, usually you bulk up turn 1. And the reason you bulk up turn 1 is usually you're faster. Like, Birds should have thought he was faster and bulk up. And then because Marowak can't click Swords Dance because it has to be afraid of Encore. So usually, like, Machamp can just win by bulking up, and then you can bulk up again, and then cross chop, and you eat those 2 Bone Rings. So not only did Birds just ignore that and click cross chop turn 1, which has to hit twice and could lose to a crazy counter turn 1. But he not only hits that cross chop just like he's hit all the past ones, but he also gets the unfortunate crit chop, and it just kills the Marowak, and Earth Gurgle is out due to some pretty unfortunate luck, if I'm going to be honest. But you know what? That's ADV sometimes, but yeah, unfortunate. But hey, you know what? I guess in a weird way, sometimes like having not very good ADV knowledge can like make you win because people are in like weird mindsets about playing, if that makes sense. And Birds with the huge upset over Earth Gurgle takes it. Holy shit. I just talked a fuck ton about ADV. But I mean, at this point, I think I probably split it up into 2 parts, I hope. But yeah, that is the top 16 of the ADV 1v1 LT. Hope you enjoyed watching. If you like these marathon-esque videos, maybe. I think I'm going to split this into 2. Honestly, I'm probably going to split this into 2. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for some ADV 1v1 videos coming out soon. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Wait, what did that sound like? Thanks for watching. That sounded like, that like game theory ending, right? Like, I don't know. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.